Good evening, everyone. We'll start with the session now. The session is about can diabetes cause vitamin deficiency, and we have Dr. Seeker with us, and he'll be guiding us about this topic. And if you have any questions or queries, you can ask over the chat, or you can, at the end of the session, unmute yourselves and then ask your questions and doubts. So thank you, Dr. Sekhar, for giving us your valuable time and educating us and everyone here about the topics. And these are some questions that everyone wonders. When anyone advises them for any supplements or medicines, and then people do not know why do they need it. So small topics as well are very important for the knowledge, and people should know what especially when they are a diabetic or they have someone diabetic at their home or anybody known. So thank you so much for giving us this opportunity for the session. Over to you, Dr. Sita. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the nice words. Yeah. Good evening, all of you. It's my great pleasure to be here with you this evening and talk to you on an all-important topic on can diabetes cause vitamin deficiency. I welcome all the participants. உங்கள் அனைவரையும் வரவேற்பதில் நான் பெரும் மகிழ்ச்சி அடைகிறேன். This is being organized by the Xyla group. It's a very innovative group doing a lot of service to the patients. As you all know, patient education is one of the most important part of diabetes management. நம்ம டாக்டர் எவரோட பேஷண்ட்டை சொல்லலாம், பேஷண்ட் அதை புரிஞ்சுக்கலாம். ஆனால் பேஷண்ட் எஜுகேஷன், பேஷண்ட் டயபிட்டிஸை பற்றி நல்லா தெரிஞ்சிட்டாதான் நல்ல ஒரு நிறைவான வாழ்க்கையை பேஷண்டால் டயபிட்டிஸோட வாழ முடியும். இட்ஸ் வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். A patient who is a well-informed patient who knows about the disease and knows how to tackle the complications, how to look for them, he lives longer and with much less complications than people who are ignorant about the disease. ஒவ்வொரு தடவை பேஷண்ட்டு நம்ம ஆஸ்பத்திரிக்கு வரும்போதும் நோயை பற்றி நம்ம சொல்கிறது புதுசு புதுசாக கற்றுக்கிறதே, பேஷண்ட் நோயை பற்றி நல்லா தெரிஞ்சவங்க ரொம்ப பயன்படுவாங்க. நோயை பற்றி தெரியாதவங்க அவங்க சிரமப்படுவாங்க. நோயோட கண்ட்ரோல் அவங்களுக்கு தெரியாது. அவங்களோட வாழ்நாளே குறுகிறதுக்கு உள்ள வாய்ப்புகள் அதிகமாக இருக்குது. சிரமப்படுறதுக்கு நிறைய வாய்ப்பு இருக்குது. ஸோ as a part of this, Xyla is doing a wonderful job. Doctor just prescribes the medicines, he gives you, the staff will guide you about the diet and all. But follow-up is very important. Doctor in a busy practice may not have the time to follow the patient every time, ask him whether he is taking medicines regularly, when his last blood sugar was checked, etc., etc. All these things are being done by this Xyla group. அவங்க பண்ணுகிற அவசியமே இல்லை, பட் அவங்க மக்கள் சேவைக்காக பண்ணுறாங்க. Really hats off to them, and it's a wonderful topic also. Many patients can get a doubt. இது நான் டாக்டர் எல்லா பிரச்சனையும் டயபிட்டிஸ் வைட்டமின் மாத்திரை எழுதுறாரு, சாப்பிடணுமா, உடம்பு பத்தாதான்னு கேட்கலாம். டயபிட்டிஸ்க்கும் வைட்டமின்ஸும் இப்படி என்ன சம்மந்தம் இருக்குது? டயபிட்டிஸ்னால வைட்டமின் டெஃபிஷியன்சி வருமா, இல்லை வைட்டமின் சத்து குறைஞ்சி போய் டயபிட்டிஸ் வருதா? இது மாதிரி நிறைய கேள்விகள் உங்கள் மனசில் எழலாம். அடுத்த ஒரு ½ அன் ஹவரில் எப்படி நம்ம டயபிட்டிஸ்க்கும் வைட்டமின் டெஃபிஷியன்சி உள்ள சம்மந்தம் என்ன, நம்ம எப்படி அதை சமாளிக்க போகிறோங்கிறது நான் விரிவாக காணலாம். how to know diabetes caused vitamin deficiency or vitamin deficiency caused diabetes. Egg came first or the hen came first? It's a big thing. We'll see how it goes. So the next 30 minutes, I'll be talking to you how to manage, what are the important vitamins, what is the role they have to play in the human body, how they are affected in a diabetic, how the diabetic should overcome that. இதான் நான் ப்ராட் அவுட்லைன். இதுதான் எப்படி வைட்டமின் டெஃபிஷியன்சி உங்களுக்கு உண்டாகுது, எப்படி அதை நம்ம தடுக்கிறது, நம்ம டயபிட்டிஸ் அதை பாதிக்காம அப்படி நம்ம பார்த்துக்க போகிறோம் தான் இதை பற்றி பேச போகிறோம். ஸோ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஸ்லைட், வைட்டமின்ஸ்லாம் வந்து இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் அமைன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. தே ஆர் இம்பார்ட்டன்ட், வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் ஃபார் த பாடி. அதை ஏ, பி காம்ப்ளெக்ஸ், சி, வைட்டமின் டி, வைட்டமின் கே, இ, வைட்டமின் கேன்னு பிரிச்சிருக்காங்க. வைட்டமின் ஏ எல்லாருக்கும் தெரியும், கண் பார்வைக்கு ரொம்ப ரொம்ப முக்கியம், வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். ஹெல்த்தி விஷன், க்ரோத், இம்யூன் ரெஸ்பான்ஸ் அண்ட் ரீப்ரொடக்ஷன் ஆல்சோ வெரி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். வைட்டமின் ஏ சின்ன குழந்தைகள் சொல்லுவாங்க, கேரட்டில் நிறையா இருக்குன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க, பாலில் இருக்குன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க, முட்டையில் இருக்குன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. அண்ட் பி காம்ப்ளெக்ஸ் வைட்டமின்ஸ் அது தனி கதை. B1லேருந்து B12 முடிய இருக்கு. Small, they are only in small amounts, but they play such a very vital role in promoting overall health and well-being. பிகாஸ் வைட்டமின்ஸ் வந்து கொஞ்சம் தான் போதும். ஆனால் அந்த கொஞ்சம் இருந்தாலுமே அது குறைபாடுன்னா அந்த பேஷண்ட் ரொம்ப கஷ்டப்படக்கூடிய வாய்ப்பு இருக்கு. அது நிறைவா இருந்துச்சுன்னா எந்த பிரச்சனையும் கிடையாது. வைட்டமின் சி ரொம்ப இம்பார்ட்டன்ட். இப்படி நீங்க பார்த்துருப்பீங்க, கொரோனா ஃபைட் அகெயின்ஸ்ட் வந்து வைட்டமின் சி இம்பார்ட்டன்ட் வைட்டமின் சொல்லிட்டு எல்லாரும் சொல்றாங்க. ரியல் இம்யூன் பூஸ்டர், ஆன்டி ஆக்சிடென்ட்ஸ் ரொம்ப முக்கியமான வைட்டமின் சி. வைட்டமின் சி இல்லாட்டி ஸ்கர்வின்னு ஒரு முக்கியமான நோய் வரும். அந்த நோய் தடுக்கிறதுக்கு. Yeah, please.
So sorry to disturb. I think most of the people are more comfortable in English. So
English.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we do in English?
Okay, I'll do it. That's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So vitamin C is very important. It causes a disease called scurvy. Vitamin C, as you know, off late, during the corona times, to prevent the corona disease, vitamin C has come up in a very big way. It's easily available. All your gooseberries have it, oranges have it. It's high antioxidant properties. It helps make collagen and promote immune system. Vitamin D is another very important vitamin. It maintains normal levels of calcium and phosphorus. It has a lot of multivariate functions, which we'll be seeing in detail in the next slides. Vitamin E is very powerful antioxidants. That's very important for the skin, eye, liver, and brain health. And vitamin K is very important for blood clotting and for bone health. So broad groups of these, vitamin A, vitamin E, and vitamin D are fat soluble vitamins. They are not soluble in water. Whereas B complex and vitamin C are water soluble vitamins. This is another quick look at the vitamin B complex. Vitamin B thiamine is very important. It turns carbohydrates to the energy our bodies need. Vitamin B2, riboflavin, is very, very important. It boosts the immune system. It helps treat headaches also. And vitamin B3, niacin, it lowers the harmful cholesterol and increases the good cholesterol. Vitamin B5 is the anti-stress vitamin. It plays a vital role in cellular metabolism. Again, B6 is very important for vision and for the nerves and for the premenstrual syndrome. Is very important. It supports the brain health also. Biotin B7 is important for healthy skin, hair, and nails. It improves blood sugar also. Vitamin B9 is of late attained great importance. It promotes healthy pregnancy and protects the baby against defects. Any pregnant woman will be carrying a prescription of vitamin B9. You should be seeing it. And vitamin B12 again is a very important vitamin. Very important. Its health makes the red blood cells, DNA, and normal nerve function. This is very, very important. So these are grass look at the vitamins. Of these, vitamin D and vitamin B12 are very important in the diabetic. All other vitamins you can get in the daily food. Vegetables can supply you, but vitamin D is important in the sense you need sunlight to synthesize vitamin D. The body synthesizes its own vitamin D on exposure to sunlight. It's a natural source. And nowadays, it's very hard to see a patient to see a person who goes out in the sun bare-bodied. People, even doctors, the vitamin D level is very, very low. Majority of the patients are people who live in the cities. They seldom go out in the daylight. Even if they want to go in the daylight, they have an umbrella, or they have what is called as sunscreen lotions and creams, which prevent this reaching the ultraviolets of the sun to reach your skin. And since the vitamin D is greatly hampered. And if you go for a morning walk, these health freaks, they go early in the morning before the sunrise, or after sunset, they go at night. And that too, they wear a full-hand shirt and full pants, and their body is not exposed at all. So again, there's a deficiency of vitamin D is very strong. So vitamin D, even for healthy individuals, seemingly healthy individuals, even for doctor population, about 90% of the people are less than what they need. The levels are very low. Similarly, vitamin B12, it's plenty of sources available only in non-veg. Strict vegetarians, vegans, they're in for a spin. If they don't even take milk, vitamin B12 level goes very, very low. All non-vegetarian food sources have very high quantities of B12, but for Jains and people who are very strict vegans, for them B12 is a real problem. And even drugs which you take for diabetes, like the metformin, tend to reduce the blood levels of vitamin B12. So you should be seeing a diabetic who visits his doctor, occasionally he used to have injection of B12 on and off. It's really helpful for them. And B12 is so important vitamin. So we'll have a quick look at vitamin D and vitamin B12 in special and discuss how it's important for a diabetic. So vitamin D is known as the sunshine vitamin. As I told you, our body has inactive vitamin D which gets activated in the exposure of sunlight. It's a fat soluble vitamin, it's not water soluble. So if we have higher doses of vitamin D orally, it will produce a lot of problems. B complex and vitamin C, even if we take higher doses, it may not be a problem. But vitamin D, if you take higher doses, usually calcium tablets which you have, they have vitamin D. You may tend to take vitamin D separately because you think you are deficient of vitamin D. And when other sources of vitamin D also are very rich, it becomes it leads to toxic levels in the blood. So hypervitaminous of vitamin should be avoided at all costs. But it's a rare condition. And why do you become vitamin D deficient? As I told you, immediate exposure to sunlight due to more time in home, in office, sunscreen usage, or for fear of skin cancer. Sunscreen usage is the main thing, especially for ladies. They are afraid about the suntan, but suntan is so good as a nature preventative. And the benefits of vitamin D are multivariate. It is an immune booster. It helps fight infections. It maintains healthy bones. Bones are very important for vitamin D. Joints and teeth. You get osteomalacia, you get rickets due to deficiency of vitamin D. It helps in absorption of the calcium in the body, improves sensitivity to insulin, and hence improve blood sugar levels also. It improves heart health. It fights depression and fatigue and tiredness. The sources of vitamin D are exposing your skin to sunlight for 15 to 20 minutes and limit the usage of high potency sunscreens. And include ghee. Ghee, as you know, is a very good animal source, high in saturated fats, but still you can go up to 2 tablespoons of ghee per day as per the AD recommendation latest. But you should go for walking and you should be staying active throughout the day when you take ghee. This we will discuss during the later part of our presentation. And eat vitamin D food products such as milk products, soya, eggs, animal fat, and nuts. And take vitamin D supplements under medical supervision only for the fear of hypervitaminosis. The symptoms of vitamin D deficiency will be getting sick quite often, fatigue and tiredness, body and joint pains, depression. Even depression can occur due to vitamin D deficiency, and hair loss. Vitamin D deficiency is important not for diabetics, for a host of other functions. Symptoms of serious deficiency can cause sleep changes, can cause low mood, can cause fatigue, back pain, that may loss of appetite, may lead to pale skin and dark circles, it may lead to infections, frequent coughs and cold, and reduced muscle strength, weak and aching bones may result due to vitamin D deficiency. And the foods which are good meat, papaya, carrots, squash, apricots, broccoli, fish, mangoes, sweet potatoes, pepper, avocados, melons, and peaches. They are very rich in vitamin D. And all these should be consumed by the diabetic, keeping in mind that the food size, food serving you should keep in mind. Meat should not take a large serving. Carrots you can take, broccoli can be taken to any extent. Any non-veg you take it carefully. Mangoes can be taken as it should be small in share. Melons, avocados, all these are very rich in carbohydrate also, so you should be careful while taking them. And vitamin B12 is the next important micronutrient. Its benefits are it generates energy, it protects the heart, it keeps the bone healthy, it prevents nerve damage. It's very important for the nerve function. It improves mood and outlook. It keeps the Alzheimer's at bay. Old people, as they get older, vitamin B12 deficiency is one of the very important causes that lead to Alzheimer's disease. And B12 makes your body healthy and look young also. And the deficiency of vitamin B12 lead to fatigue, laziness because of anemia. You have what is typically called as macrocytic anemia in vitamin B12 deficiency. You have excessive tiredness, you have low stamina, there can be pale skin, tinnitus because of the ear nerve damage, there can be lack of appetite, celiac disease, tingling sensation in the feet, what you call as pins and needles, numbness, And disorders related to immune system and shortness of breath also can result due to vitamin B12. Sources of B12 are fish, shellfish, dairy products, organ meats, particularly liver and kidney, eggs, beef, and pork. As I already told you, you look at this list, there's hardly anything a vegetarian can take. Only dairy products are there, and for strict vegans, that also is out. So only B12 is very important. You shouldn't allow your diabetic patient to get a B12 deficient. And this is already discussed. Dizziness, high temperature, the deficiency of B12 leads to mood changes, glossitis, mouth ulcers, sensations of pins and needles, fatigue, pale, jaundiced skin, disturbed vision. All these things can result due to vitamin B12 deficiency. And 8 foods which vitamin D are rich are clams, liver, trout, salmon, beef, milk, yogurt, and eggs. Again, all are non-vegetarian food, all derived from only from animal sources. In fact, there's a debate, an interesting paper which I presented in 1990, and cows which used to graze in the green fields, lot of grass which is grown in the banks of the river, they used to yield more vitamin B12 than cows which take formula feeds. This was an interesting study. B12 is very much rich in the grass and all, the natural synthesis it. And once the cows graze on that, and it produces good, healthy milk, which is rich in B12. Whereas cows which feed on synthetic feeds, they have very low levels of B12. And in these days, almost all the milk which you get is only on formula feeds only. So you can expect the B12 deficiency to be everywhere. And how to manage. And the important thing, all these nutraceuticals, if you could see, the nutritional content of all the vegetables and the fruits have come down drastically in the past few decades. The way you raise it, you use lots of chemicals and fertilizers to keep the worms and other things away. So they get polluted, and the quality of vitamins and minerals, which are originally present in the 1960s and 70s, is only a part now they are available, which again makes you very important to think in all these terms. And you should be very careful to see the patient does not develop any deficiency, especially doctor. And whatever the complaints patient tells you, if you see all the very vague complaints, I may feel weak, I may feel lethargic, all these you can even dedicate to your uncontrolled diabetes. But you should keep an eyes and ears open for this. It's a tough job for the doctor to keep all these things in mind and treat his patients. So what's the advice you give how to manage these things? Should always keep your levels, sugar levels in check, which is the most important thing. Unless the sugar levels are under correct levels, and the current between 80 and 120 for non-diabetic, can go up to 160 in a diabetic, never more than 180. Only when they're maintaining these limits, your body functions and metabolism can work normally without getting deranged. This is very, very important. And to achieve that, you should stay physically fit, you should manage your diet well, and you should keep yourself active. These are basic things. So I told you 4 important things for the diabetic management. Number 1, drugs and injection and tablets. Only that doctor is responsible. Other more important 3 are keep physically fit, physically active. Number 2, your diet. Number 3, keep a good mental health. Don't get depressed. Don't get stressed out in life. Mental health. And when all these things, you are very capable, you have a good patient education about diabetes. And as I already told you, a well-educated patient lives longer with less complications in life. So it's very important for you to acquire the knowledge of all these factors. So how do you manage your diet? Healthy eating. The first step is taking care of diabetes. You do not need special foods or diet food. Don't think as soon as you mention you got diabetic, do not go for this kanji or ragi kur or wheat dosa, nothing like that. The food which you take normally, you can take. Food that's good for the whole family is good for you too. But the type of food and the amount of food you eat every day will make a big difference in your blood glucose levels. That's what healthy eating means. Healthy eating means learning the best times to eat. Very, very important. Should finish your breakfast by 8 a.m. itself and finish your dinner by not later than 8 p.m. Anything later than that will lead a lot of problems and interfere with the circadian rhythm which is so important to keep all hormones intact. And understanding the portion size, those with high carbs and GI index cut down the portion size. Those with low GI index take in large portions. And making healthy food choices is very important. More of fruits and vegetables is very, very important. So take small, frequent meals at regular intervals. It's very important. Never dump your food. Morning, 8 o'clock, you take a grand meal, then fast for the rest of the day. Night, again, you take a big meal. It will lead to very high sugar levels, soon after blood sugar, and the levels may drop down to very low levels, harmful levels, if they are not, if you don't have frequent snacks. And ensure a gap of not more than 3 to 4 hours between two meals. Do not skip your breakfast. It's very, very important. Patients who are especially on some drugs and diabetes and insulin, they should never skip their breakfast or can go for dangerous hypoglycemia. So do not skip your breakfast. It's an essential part of the meal plan. Start the day with a good breakfast. Breakfast with the best food of the three breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And dinner should be the least. And in between, you should have a mid-morning snack with buttermilk or some fruits. Evening, you can have coffee or tea without sugar, plus some pulses, rajma, like that. And first step in taking reduction in the overall intake of carbohydrates is very important. It helps control blood glucose levels. We know Indians are very fond of carbohydrates. About 85 to 90% of the food which you take are mainly carbohydrates only. Only 10% goes to fat and proteins. So follow the plate method to control portion of various food items. Half the plate should be of fruits and vegetables. 50%, as you could see in the cartoon there, fruits and vegetables form 50% of your food intake. Other half, whole grains and lean sources of protein like pulses, whole grains, channa, rajma, green gram, etc. Egg white, fish, and lean chicken. And dairy, glass of non-fat or 1% milk or the other non-fat, that also should form part. And you should take plenty of water also, at least 3 to 4 liters of water per day. And the eating goal should be ensure that you have a good stock of healthy source of carbohydrates at home. Don't go for refined grains and highly polished grains. You should have a healthy whole cereal, whole wheat, brown rice is very much important. Much more safer than highly. Once your food gets more and more refined and more polished, it loses all the vital nutrients and it has a very high glycemic index, which is not good for you. Millets are very good for you. Bajra, ragi, and jowar. You can substitute rice instead of millets with these millets. And pulses and legumes, they also give you a good feeling of satiety. They have a very low glycemic index. You will feel full and happy on eating the pulses and legumes. And add fiber to your daily diet. Very important. Half of the plate should be of fruits and vegetables. The total dietary fiber in daily diet should be 25 to 40 grams per day. 100 grams of apple, for an example, gives you 1 gram of fiber. And 100 grams of whole wheat flour gives you 1.9 gram of fiber. High fiber containing carbohydrate sources, more than 5 grams per serving, include legumes, whole grains and cereals, pulses, whole fruits and vegetables. Large amounts of fiber can cause bloating and gas, especially in the later days of diabetes. This may annoy you. So the fiber in the diet should be increased gradually only. And consume minimum of 4 to 5 servings of fruits and vegetables per day. Approximately half kilogram of fruits and vegetables, 3 vegetables and 2 fruit portions. 100 grams, there's 1 calorie of raw vegetables, cauliflower, brinjal, and etc. They give you only 20 to 30 kilocalories. 100 grams of fruit, example, 1 apple gives you 15 kilocalories. In contrast, 100 milligram of your mixture, the spices which you take, the mix, whatever you call it, which come for spare the mixtures, and they give you 540 calories. A sweet or Mysore pa 100 grams gives you 560 calories. Even a biscuit packet, the Good Day biscuits and all of them, 100 grams of them give 540 calories. Whereas 100 grams of fruits give you only 15 calories. And vegetables can give you only up to that. You feel full, have less glycemic index, and you can live longer. And it's actually packed with vitamins. you should target the foods which are nutrient dense rather than calorie dense. If you have one chocolate of 100 grams, it gives you 560 calories. There's only sweets and glucose and nothing else. No fiber, no vitamins, and no minerals. Whereas 100 grams of fruits and vegetables can give you a lot of fiber, a lot of minerals. 100 grams of guava can give you so much in that than your chocolates and biscuits. So fruit should be eaten whole, preferably with the skin whenever feasible, and instead of fruit juices, always avoid juices. And restrict intake of food items which quickly increase blood sugar levels, like simple sugars, table sugar, honey, jaggery, Indian sweets, sweetened biscuits. All this should be avoided. Restrict maida-based products, starchy vegetables, and sweetened carbonated drinks. Carbonated drinks are one of the most important harmful effects which produce diabetes, both in the West and India. Remember, one can of cola contains around 10 teaspoons of free sugar. 40 grams of around 40, this gives you 10 teaspoons of free sugars, which is very harmful. And sugar, white sugar is one of the most important toxic substances known to man. Always remember that. So avoid trans fats and limit saturated fats. Try to eliminate trans fats from food. Vanaspati, ghee, and margarine should be avoided. Limit deep fried foods. Limit intake of saturated fats, packaged food, processed and fast foods, red meat, and full fat dairy foods. They are very much low in vitamins. Eat one or more good source of omega-3 fatty acids. Walnuts, ground flax are very good for you. And before consuming a food item, read the label of packaged processed food stocks at home. Check the added hidden sugar in processed packaged foods. They are always high in sugar, salt also. The WHO and ADA, they all recommend not more than 6 grams of sodium chloride per day. But you take any of the savories, 100 grams of that can give you 10 to 12 grams of salt per day. Check the trans fat content in the label. Trans fat raise your bad cholesterol and lower good cholesterol. Eating trans fats increases your risk of developing heart disease and stroke. Do you know that 1 tablespoon of ketchup contains 1 teaspoon of sugar also? For that matter, even a cigarette contains sugar. If you want to smoke a cigarette, each cigarette gives you 1 spoon of sugar. Many people may not know it, but that's the truth. So healthy eating goals should be ensure that you have a good stock of healthy sources of carbohydrates, add fiber to your daily diet, consume minimal of 4 to 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, restrict intake of food items which quickly increase blood sugar levels, and maida-based products and sugar-sweetened beverages. Avoid trans fats, vanaspati ghee. So, and being active, this is also very important. Activity which improves the insulin action. Parameters of being active are once you do exercise, it lowers blood sugars, lowers cholesterol, improves blood pressure, lowers stress and anxiety, and improves mood also. Identify an activity you enjoy at home. Start slow and gradually increase the duration. Physical activity is one of the most important things a diabetic should follow. It not only reduces blood sugar, it improves insulin resistance. For a lesser amount of drug which you take, it acts more, and you become mentally also very stronger. Your immunity improves while you do regular exercises, and your mood will go upbeat. All these things are very good positive points about being exercise. Being active is very important. Simple exercise, set yourself simple goals. Do not run all like a marathon runner. Engage in 2 to 3 sessions per week of resistance exercise is very important. Flexibility training and balance training are recommended 2 to 3 times a week for older adults with diabetes. Yoga may be included based on individual preference to increase flexibility, muscular strength, and balance. Break prolonged sitting with some light activity like standing every 30 to 60 minutes. This has become very important nowadays. They even equate prolonged sitting to smoking. All your exercise done in 1 hour in the morning. And if we're going to sit in the table for the next 8 hours or 10 hours, all the good effects of walking for 1 hour are being offset by that. Throughout the day, you should keep active. They call it NEAT, non-exercise energy expenditure. It's very, very important. During the day itself, you should keep yourself very active. I've got 3 rooms in my consulting room. I see one patient in one room, keep on moving between rooms and rooms so that I'm active throughout the day. Otherwise, if you sit in one single place for prolonged hours, it may not, in the long run, may really harm you. Engage 10 to 15 minutes of post-meal slow walking. Decrease the amount of time spent in daily sedentary behaviors, very important. And stand up for health. Sitting increases your risk of diabetes and its complications. Walk around the house during commercial breaks while watching television. Don't watch television. What all you want to watch, not more than an hour per day is very important. During phone calls, let us stand, stretch, and move and walk around some. This is all very important tips for you to keep active. Drink more water, make more trips to the restroom. This is also very important. And engage in spot walking. Indoor power walk is very important. 20 to 30 minutes at least 5 times a week. 150 minutes per week is enough. You not run, you not do a marathon, just medium walking. 20 to 30 minutes at 5 times a week will do a world of good. It's in your balcony or terrace, engage in 20 to 30 minutes of brisk walk at least 5 times a week. And while you're walking, you should take all these precautions. Drink adequate amount of water. Ensure that your footwear is appropriate. Otherwise, you can lead to diabetic foot probably. Test your blood glucose levels before exercise. If the glucose levels are more than 250, do not exercise. If the blood glucose is less than 90 also, eat 15 to 30 grams of fast-acting carbohydrate and then do the exercise. If you have any diabetes complications, kindly consult a doctor before you set your exercise plan. Because people with foot ulcers, they are not advised to run and jog. It's very important. And overcome the exercise barriers. Create your own strategies. Don't say, I have a lack of time. No, it's not that. Identify at least 5 30-minute time slots you could do. You can use for physical activity. Select activities that you can do based on time that you have available. Lack of energy. You may feel we have lack of energy while during exercise. No, it's not that. Schedule physical activity for times in the day or week when you feel energetic. Convince yourself that if you give it a chance, physical activity will increase your energy level, and then try it. Lack of motivation. Exercise is a family. Motivate your wife to do exercise, and she should motivate you to do exercise. Make your children a part of it. Everybody should be a part of the exercise routine. Then only you can stay motivated. Decide a time slot when the family members can exercise together. And fear of injury. Learn how to warm up and cool down to prevent injury. Learn how to exercise appropriately considering your age, fitness level, skill level, and health status. Choosing activities involving minimum risk. All these are very important. So engage in 2 to 3 sessions a week. Our resistance exercise is one important. Alternately, you can go for flexibility training and balance training for older adults. Include yoga. Break prolonged sitting with some light activity like standing. Engage in 10 to 15 minutes of post-meal slow walking, and decrease the amount of time spent in daily sedentary behavior. All these things will go a long way in maintaining diabetes and keeping your vitamins in good health and check. So this is my final slide. Your illness does not define you. Your strength and courage does. If you are diabetic, don't get tabooed by that. No, it's not that. Your illness does not define you. But how much you act with your mind and your body, and how much with the mental strength you come back and fight it with the courage, that only really defines you. It's not that you can fall down always, but the will to get up stronger and race faster, there lies your strength and courage. We'll do it that way. So that comes the talk to my end, and any questions I'll be happy to answer.
Thank you so much for the presentation, Doctor. It was really wonderful and covered all the aspects. So if anybody has any queries, please feel free to ask. You can unmute yourselves and then ask your questions, or you can share over chat as well.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Raja.
Yes, sir.
Sir, இப்போ என்னோட கொஸ்டின் என்ன அப்படின்னா, இப்போ எனக்கு வந்து வயசு 35 சார். My age is 34. But I have diabetics for past 3 years. But due to that, I am getting that neuropathic. So is that vitamins deficiency cause neuropathy, or will be sugar level causes my neuropathy, sir?
So it's a very good question, sir. Your neuropathy is caused because of vitamin
sugar
deficiency.
Level or vitamin deficiency?
Vitamin it's a very complex process. Vitamin deficiency causes your neuropathy, but the reason for that vitamin deficiency is your diabetes. Just as you told you, whether mutta mala vandada kodi mala vandada adhe kalna, it's a big thing. No, because you are diabetic, your because you are a diabetic, your vitamins are not getting full supply. So sugar is a very you got very high levels of sugar in the bloodstream, but you're not able to use it because there's lack of insulin. So in that at high level of sugar, it damages your nerve fibers extensively. Over a period of time, you develop neuropathy. And once you get down your sugar levels to the normal level, that's the first primary thing. Even if you get it, it may take some time for you to get back the normal sensations and all. It may take some time, but it will definitely come unless you got a history of only 3 years. So you do not be afraid. Only for people with the 10 to 15 years of diabetes with a long history, if they have neuropathy problems, it may tough to come out of it. But you target our strict sugar levels, very, very important. And when you walk with neuropathy, be careful. You wear a very good shoe. A shoe. You should choose your shoe only in the evening, not in the morning, because morning your feet will be normal. Evening there will be mild edema. That's one thing.
Yeah, night time only I'm getting that issues.
You wear one size bigger shoe, and every time you go to bed, have a good look at your feet. Check it. Just as you in the morning you get up and see your face in the mirror. At night time, have a good look at the feet. Just have a mirror. Have a hand mirror, look at the foot carefully for any blisters, any corns. You should have a good look at that. And you can apply some ointments also. All these things, and when you trim your nails also, you should be very careful. And because you are young, because diabetes is only some 2 to 3 years, your neuropathy will definitely get back to normal. There's no doubt about it. Only for people with very long history of diabetes, it may struggle. So it's a combination of diabetes and lack of nutrients. But it's a dictum for us to give these micronutrients to our diabetic patients always, because as I already told you, we're not guaranteed the actual content of vitamins in the foodstuffs due to various factors. So you give at least vitamin D, vitamin B12, and other important vitamins, selenium, chromium, all these microminerals, all these are very important for you. So that you should always take it. Keep your blood sugars tight. That's a primary thing, and you will definitely do well, sir. Neuropathy is one of the most important complications of diabetes. It occurs almost 50 to 60% of the people, 50 to 60%, mind you. And once proper treatment, you will become all right. You get depressed, then please don't. You'll be all right, sir. Don't worry.
After getting that burning, everyone got depressed. So at the age of 35, I'm getting depressed. That is the reason. So what your suggestion will be, B and B12 foods will be giving some supplements to me, right?
No, these are very, your daughter should be giving all those things. That's what I believe. You should be, look at the prescription, you should be having it. No, more than B12 and vitamin D, your sugar should be under control. And proper food care is very important. Plus vitamins, of course.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Hello, Sivam. Yeah. Good evening. Unmute yourself. Unmute, Sivam. Unmute yourself.
Sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for being with us. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Nice. I attend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody, any more questions or queries?
So once again, Raja here, sir.
Please, sir.
Sir, so for this same kind of neuropathy only, so someone has preferred me to take Neurokind Gold medicine, sir. So in that I checked that chemical pharma, so all the things to be mentioned related to that minerals and vitamins only in that medicine. So will that help me to recover that, sir?
This Neurokind Gold and all will come down the list. All these injections and the capsule tablets, they advertise that they've got a lot of alpha lipoic acid, ALE, that's called. It's a very, very good drug as a very good antioxidant. They combine that along with the cobalamin, vitamin B1, B12, zinc, vitamin C, and everything will be there. But for a diabetic, how much vitamins they give, unless you have your sugars under control, and it takes some time for the nerves to get back to normal. It's been damaged. Nerve injury is always not very fast recovery. It takes its own time, but definitely it will come. As I told you, if your diabetes history of more than 10 to 15 years, I'll also be really worried. But it's only 3 years with strict control, good healthy food, as I all told you, and some basic, nothing superior to, nothing is inferior. All are one and the same only. American Gold. There are so many brands available, but not much. And the dose which they give, they also they will also help, but they are the main thing. Main thing is keeping your mind up, be positive, keep your sugars under control, and good diet is very important. Never allow your sugar. Actually, what damages the sugar patient is not a constant higher level of sugar. It is spikes which really damage. Before you have a breakfast, your blood sugar will be 100 only. Have a hefty breakfast with a lot of oil and fast foods, your blood sugar will really shoot up to 350. And towards that, it will again come back to 140 or 150. These spikes really harm you much more than a constant higher blood sugar of 250. So, as I already suggested, take small, frequent meals, which has every plate should have more than 50% of fruits and vegetables, and not in the morning only, not in lunch only. All 3 times you should have more than fruits or vegetables, which see that they don't increase the blood sugar levels. Occasional sweet may be okay, but every time you take a sweet or carbonated bottled drinks are really harmful for you, because they result in higher spikes every time, and every time your sugar spikes increases, it's more damage to the nerves. This always should remember.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Sir, this is Ganesh here.
Please, sir.
My age is 37 and I am recently diagnosed with diabetes, type 2 diabetes.
Okay.
Now I am taking a glucose tablet.
Okay.
From last 3 weeks, I have chest pain and acidity problem.
Okay.
So, sir, is it due to vitamin B12 deficiency or tiredness also there?
No, what I understand is you are taking escitalopram nowadays. Of late, you are taking escitalopram. That's what I mean. No, no. Your voice is breaking. I'm not able to hear it fully. Can you please repeat your question, sir? Can you please repeat your question? Your voice is breaking. Due to
Yes, sir. Recently, I have diagnosed with diabetes.
Only recently.
Glucose tablet.
Okay, glucose, fine. Yes, sir. Okay.
Tablet.
Okay.
But from last 3 to 4 weeks,
okay.
I have chest pain and acidity problem.
Oh, acidity problem. Okay, that's okay. Actually, what are drug you are taking? You are taking metformin also and glucose?
No, sir. Only glucose 25 mg.
Okay, glucose by
sir.
So glucose by itself can cause these problems. Glucose acts in a very unique mechanism of action. It binds with the carbohydrates which you in your food, and see that they don't get absorbed. They are excreted. So the carbohydrates which are not absorbed, they remain in the stomach and the intestines, and they produce a feeling of some bloating and belching. Many people are not able to tolerate that. Some people are able to, some people are not able to. Even a 25 milligram of glucose can produce severe bloating in some people, and even 50 milligram may not do in some other people. The more amount of carbohydrate you take, you'll feel more bloating also. So your bloating and acidity problem can be due to glucose itself. You can check with your doctor, and if you are still uncomfortable, you can stop glucose and then change some other drug. And you should also see that you are not a smoker, you are not overweight, you are not wearing a tight belt and all. You space your meals, and before you retire to bed, see that you have dinner and retire at least 2 hours after the dinner to bed. Don't go immediately. Take dinner at 8 o'clock, bed at 8:30. No, it's not advisable. And when you lie in the bed, prop up your pillow. Don't smoke. Don't consume alcohol. All these things come under acidity and GERD prevention problems. And glucose itself may produce these problems. So you can consult with a doctor, and if you don't feel comfortable, he will change the drug for you.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Anybody else? Any other questions? I think there are no more questions, Doctor. I think the presentation was self-explanatory and you explained it so well. So thank you so much for your time. If anybody has any more questions, you can reach out to Zyla and we will forward the questions to Doctor and get them answered for you. Thank you so much, Doctor, for your time. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Zyla. Thanks all the participants. Yeah, thank you all the participants also.
Okay. If you want to summarize the session in a line, also.
Yeah, vitamins are such an important part to keep a daily health. You should never go out of vitamin supply. All vitamins are so much rich in fruits and vegetables. So reduce calorie-dense foods like rice and fast foods. Go for nutrient-dense. There are a lot of nutrition like fruits, vegetables, green vegetables especially, and exposure also to sunlight at least sometime a day. Take good source of milk, good source of vegetables, fruits. That's very important. Reduce your trans fats and oil. Don't feel depressed. Stay strong. As this slide, someone says, your illness does not define you. Only your strength and courage does. And before, with all these things, still, if you feel that you need some supplementation, your doctor is there to advise you regarding supplementation of vitamins. He'll take care of you. But whatever vague symptoms you feel, don't hide from the doctor. Immediately report to him. If you have small minor complaints like anorexia, as Mr. Ganesh Kalta told, acidity and all, you should tell the doctor. Then only he'll be able to understand and change the medicines if they need be. And don't, if you have neuropathy, don't get depressed. It will become all right. There are a lot of drugs now come which really satiate. As I already told you in the first slide itself, diabetic education is so important. Know about the disease thoroughly well. It will help you to have a safe journey for a very long time. Thank you. Thank you, Wonderful.
Thank you so much, Doctor. We just have this last question.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Rose wants to know that they can have grapes and banana in their diet.
Grapes and banana.
Yes.
Grapes and banana, they can have. Yeah. There are two things. One is glycemic index and glycemic load. They are different. Glycemic index is how fast your blood sugar, the food you take, increases your blood sugar. If you take raw sugar, it increases the blood sugar immediately a very high level. Its glycemic index is 100. Banana's glycemic index is 70. Watermelon is 70 again. But its glycemic load is very low. Glycemic load is the percentage of carbohydrate which is present in the whole food. You take banana. Banana does not contain carbohydrate alone. It has a lot of fiber, it has a lot of nutrients, it has a lot of minerals. So the glycemic index, the glycemic load of banana is as low as 7 only in one portion. Don't take 10 bananas. Don't take 3 bananas. 100 grams of bananas will do it. Similarly, watermelon, which is so sweet and all, its glycemic index is very high to 77. But its glycemic load is just 7. It has a lot of fiber again, a lot of fluid, it has a lot of water. So even though it's sweet, its glycemic index is very low. So watermelon, any fruit you can take, but portion size is very important. 100 grams of fruits is okay. As far as banana is concerned. Mango, you can take 2 slices. Mango is absolutely not like that. And even if you want to take non-veg, again, non-veg should be only 20% of a diet. 80% should be fruits and vegetables. If you want to take non-veg, instead of 50% vegetables and fruits, go to 80% fruits and 20% you can take non-veg, like that. Portion size really matters, as I told you the first slide itself. So any food you can take, but portion size, always, bananas taste good. Don't consume 3 or 4 bananas. Mangoes, I really love mangoes, sir. Not for the 100 grams. 2 slices is okay, but not more than that. Like that. You always use it moderation.
Thank you so much for answering the question, Doctor. I hope the answer was clear and your doubt